Michigan Liberation is a statewide network of people and organizations organizing to end the criminalization of Black families and communities of color in Michigan. We envision a state without mass incarceration, mass policing, and punishment. We envision a state with the best public education in the nation, single-payer health care, and thriving Black and brown communities. Here on the Respect the Roots podcast, we will lift up the stories and experiences of those impacted by mass incarceration, collective ties to the criminal legal system, and the frontline efforts to end mass incarceration.
Hello, everybody. I'm Miss Marjan, and I want to welcome you to Michigan Liberation's Respect the Roots podcast, everybody. Today, we have in the studio none other than Ray Lanier, the executive director of Michigan Liberation. And then also we got one of our amazing board members, Rebecca Gray. What's going on, everybody?
Hey.
Hey, they're like, hey. Hey, let me tell you something. Anything goes in the boom boom room, the Michigan Lib boom boom room, right? Well, anyway, we're going to get right into it. I want to know from the both of you, who is Michigan Liberation? I could say a lot of things about Michigan Liberation, but who is Michigan Liberation? Let's start with Ray. I'm putting you on the spot.
We both looked at each other. So who is Michigan Liberation? We are a group of formerly incarcerated and directly impacted people fighting to transform the criminal legal system. And by transform, we mean in mass incarceration. That's in a nutshell. I'll pass it over to Becca.
Thanks, Ray. So we have a long history of organizing together and focusing on leadership development and taking care of each other and investing in our staff and running a bottom-up organization that really digs deep and grapples with our values and how to have that play out as campaign wins and organizational progress.
Wow, you guys came prepared. Y'all, I'm telling you, we're bad. They're bad. Leah, y'all guys give each other a high five. I saw that. Girl power, right? But anyway, I mean, thank you so much for that, because I want people to fully understand who Michigan Liberation is, for real. And it's so much more. We know that. But also, just tell us, like, the history as far as how Respect the Roots. Where did that come from? And I know Ray. I'm looking at Ray, right? Do you know a little bit about that, Rebecca?
Becca was there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So both of you. Okay, so tell me, Ray.
So our origin story, the short of it is, we were a group of directly impacted people who had spent time building power with each other and winning campaigns and being organizers and coming to a point where we felt there was a ceiling, right, in our ability to build power and really win the power that we needed to. And so a group of us came together. And it was this crazy conversation of, like, what if we actually did this ourselves? Like, we're basically already sort of doing it.
Right. You were already in the nonprofit type of field, but you were like, what about we branch off and do this on our own?
Yeah, and I feel like the need to clarify a little bit, because everybody, wants to have a nonprofit, and it's really something that's not for the faint of heart. It wasn't that we wanted to do it ourselves. It was that I think we felt there needed to be a fundamental shift in the way that these organizations were run, where there was less of a focus on exploitation of both, the employees and the people that the employees are charged to work with, and actually spending time and resources developing their leadership. So that was the turning point for us. And back then, we were crazy enough to think that we could actually get away with it.
Right.
I don't know if you remember it differently, Becca.
That's what when I think of Respect the Roots, I think of shifting away from being forced to follow plans that had us tokenizing our leaders and sort of bringing people in through relationship and connection and stories and ambitions for people closest to the problem having the most information about what needs to change, and figuring out how to make our own space to do that. And like you said as well, for for staff of the organization, we have long, considered what it means to really respect the work and the needs and the full lives of the people who are doing the change-making work.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean,
Wow.
we often say people who are closest to the problems are closest to the solutions.
Okay,
but
repeat
furthest
that
away-
again. No. Do that again, Ray. You dropped the nugget.
So we often say, people who are closest to the problems are closest to the solutions, but furthest away from resources and power. And I think that thought is sort of what has grounded, the body of our work.
Wow.
Respect the roots.
So walk us through it. 2018, all this is happening, right? And what, you get your 501c3, and I know it's like...
Not even yet.
Not quite.
Hilarious, yeah. Still working on it.
the name, okay, respect the roots. I mean,
I think we went for the hard of it, right? Because we went for the 501c4 and the PAC, just, on the
Right.
technical end of things. We went for
Yeah, first of all, our original name was supposed to be My Power. I don't know if you remember that, but turns out that's a small utility company in the state of Michigan. So we're like, what are we
right.
going to do?
oh, shoot, that's taken.
Right, and it was 2018. It was a midterm year, just like this year is, and. Back then, the movement scene was a little different. It was definitely more conservative on the left. And words like liberation were very sort of taboo and loaded. And, we were in a rebellious state.
Right.
And we were just like, well, Michigan liberation. Like, we'll make people talk about it. And there was a lot of back and forth on, will we be able to get funding, right? Will people think we're
Right.
too radical? But I sort of remember, us ultimately settling on using liberation as an invitation, right, on what that could actually be. And yeah, I think that was sort of like where we were at. And I mean, as far as paperwork, we did not go to school for this. We did not know how to run an organization. We didn't know anything about boards. We knew all that stuff had to happen to be official, and we figured it out. But we were organizers first. And like I said, it was a midterm year, and we knew how to hit the pavement. So once we got all the paperwork together, we just hit the streets as hard as we could. That was the skill set that we knew we had in spades.
Wow. Now, I'm going to say this. Our board members are the bomb because Rebecca, I'm going to tell you, Rebecca, everybody who's listening, watching, Rebecca has been to my place and dropped off these self-care packages. Shout out to Rebecca. So, Rebecca, you got to tell us, what has it been like being a board member of Michigan Liberation? Because sometimes, let's be real, y'all, there are times where you hear about board members and you never see them. They're just like names on a website or a piece of paper. But you never get a chance to interact with them. They're just kind of like just there. So you got to tell us, Rebecca, what has it been like being a board member, a Michigan Liberation Board member, that is?
Yeah, it's been so wonderful. My background is also being an organizer. But I had just had a baby when we started. So I was sort of shifting away from frontlines work, and we needed some board members to be compliant. And so I said that I can do. And it has been, of course, a journey and a process of figuring out this question of how does an organization have a board, first and foremost to exist, but also to do some organizational support and safeguarding, sometimes care packages, sometimes writing handbooks with, a group of people sort of hashing that out together so it isn't a top-down process. And it has been so inspiring because we had theorized about how organizations could function for so long without having boards be, like you said, mysterious, removed, occasionally just sort of exerting power in ways that were not necessarily aligned with the overall best interest or the direction the organization was already moving. And so it has just been a really interesting experiment with having this board that work so differently and more collaboratively with the organization. And it's also, this organization is super inspiring to be a part of. And
right. That's what's cool. And that's cool that you're used to being, well, you know what organizing is. And let's talk about that a little bit. What is organizing? Because we have organizers. in Michigan Liberation, but what is an organizer? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For example, I know. Hey, I'm throwing that out. I'm throwing
like,
that in the
pop quiz.
Right, like, wait a minute, that wasn't on the list, but no, I
mean,
know you guys are. It's near and dear to your heart.
Yeah,
organizing.
Absolutely. I mean, organizers can be anyone, but our focus is, on building and maintaining relationships, so that we have enough power, either in the form of people or resources, to build the communities we want to live in, right, that are aligned with our values. Organizers are our trust brokers, right? They are not necessarily issue experts, but we are the ones who are going to call the question, right, create the space for us to find solutions. You got a different?
I could not say it.
Yeah. Just like, I mean...
You said ditto, right? Ditto.
Yeah.
But and you touched up. You're so right, Ray. Because I remember talking to Tim, our deputy director. Shout out to Tim, and he was saying organizers solve problems.
Yep.
Because you'll find that there's so many issues going on, especially with the campaigns, which we're going to talk about in a couple of minutes, that we have going on right now in Michigan Liberation. We are there to help solve problems and everything. Provide the solutions. And I was like, that's a good way, because you're constantly being dealt with problems.
Yep.
And a lot of people want to complain about these problems. But where are the solutions? Where are the countermeasures to help us get, through this? Okay. So I just love that. But, I didn't know what an organizer was when I first came to Michigan Liberation. I mean, I consider myself organized.
No, you're an organizer. Nah, quit hiding behind the mic. I'll see you in the field, Marshawn.
I'm telling you, and it's been so cool to participate in some of the activities that we've had in Michigan Liberation, and that's my next thing. I know I didn't put it on the little outline and everything, but just think of a time, during it's 4 years. Yeah, happy birthday, Michigan Liberation, right?
Woohoo.
This was the month 4 years ago. You know what I mean? You started this. And look at it now. So tell us, what are some things, I'll start off. I think the thing that really, it's been 2.5 years for me, when we shut down 8 Mile.
Yeah.
That was it. My mom even came to see that mess. Not mess, we shut that mess down. And I was like, there's no way we're going to shut down 8 Mile. 8 Mile is so powerful, but we shut it down for a minute. And it was a peaceful kind of protest, but it was amazing to see that we meant business. And that's one thing I can say about Michigan Liberation. We show up and we show out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Period. Period.
We try to, at any rate. I think proud moments in the org. I'm super proud of just our contribution to Michigan's movement infrastructure. I feel like that's something that is long-lasting and sustaining, and that lives outside of myself or Becca or even our staff. But, during that summer in 2020, before 8 Mile, we had a series of intense conversations about how people were going to be able to be safe on the streets, newly activated people, and what that would require. And it turns out it required a lot, but we were able to train so many people on street safety and help organize movement lawyers that ultimately got a lot of those folks' charges dropped. We were bailing out people left and right with our bail fund. And this year, we've actually launched our statewide legal defense fund as a complement to that bail fund. And so when I think about the things that, don't require a face, but that impact so many people, I'd have to say that's probably my number one. But there's, as you know, so many.
So many. What about you, Rebecca? What comes to mind?
You know me, scrolling around with my self-care packages, and I'm thinking about the behind the scenes, and it was really one of my favorites from the early days, where we were trying to figure out how to pull all these things off without burning ourselves out, and while just dealing with everything that we're all dealing with in our lives, with the healing retreats that we did with Healing by Choice and with Marsha Lee, and just I just think of her being like, afternoons are for cherries and chocolate, and having us all dance to Lizzo on her porch, and the journaling and just the reflection space that and we continue to carve out for ourselves, and what that means to us, in terms of this being so much about each of us growing along with the organization and adding that into the power that we build.
Yeah, I have to cut in. One, because Becca does not get her flowers. Like, Becca has been our backbone unseen since day one. And I always say the most powerful people are the ones you don't see. Okay? Folks rarely see Becca. But that series of Healing by Choice, I believe, was foundational for the success of the org, because a lot of folks get burnt out in this work. They carry a lot of very real resentments, and it's hard to know how to let that go and move forward together. That was a great foundation. I'm so grateful that you took all that time. It was 18 months that we spent on that internal work, setting us up for our success. So thank you, Becca.
Such fond memories. Yeah.
Heart.
Thanks, Ray.
Oh, it's look.
I'm like trying to be chill. I'm like, thanks
Man.
for loving on me.
Well, we've got like about 10 minutes, y'all. Can you believe the time is going by?
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to also touch upon some of the things going on within Michigan Liberation this year currently, the campaigns. And, we're going to definitely have some of the organizers that are dealing with these campaigns on, the podcast and everything. But Ray and Becca, just tell us some of the things that are going on right now with Michigan Liberation, how people can get involved and all that good stuff and whatnot. Because that's one thing. I see a lot of people, when they see my shirt, y'all see this? I'm wearing it on my chest.
Yes.
Whether I'm going to the gym or the grocery store, people stop me and they're like, who is Michigan Liberation? Especially with the bag. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, it's so mind-blowing. I'm like, oh, yeah, Michigan Liberation. They're like, oh, I want to get involved, or I want to help out and everything. So I think it's now time to talk about what's going on, the meat and potatoes, of Michigan Liberation, what's going on with our campaigns. And you mentioned Super PAC and all that. People want to know, what is that?
Yeah.
What's the PAC?
So, Michigan Liberation is sort of like our umbrella. It's everything, but we are actually comprised of 3 legal entities because of complexities with Michigan law. So we have our training and development that's housed through Michigan Liberation Education Fund. That's more of like the C3 space for legal compliance. Our C4 work, which is our main vehicle, is called Action for Liberation. And that's where we do the bulk of our work, where we are lobbying candidates, we're finding folks to run, telling people why we've chosen a person based off of their stance on issues. And then in election years like this one, we have our Super PAC, which allows us to actually say you can vote for this person that we stand behind. And so that all makes up Michigan Liberation. And we're, as far as the work, we're building on our previous wins. So in 2018, we helped elect Governor Whitmer, Secretary of State Benson, Attorney General Dana Nessel. In 2020, we built on that by winning 2 out of our 4 prosecutor races. So Karen McDonald and Ellie Savitt. We were also in the game to flip the Michigan Supreme Court, which we did when Welsh and McCormick were elected. And this year, we plan to build on all of those successes. So not only is, Governor Whitmer and Nessel and Benson up for re-election, we also have 2 more seats that are up on Michigan's Supreme Court. And so we'll be heavily in that fight because we honor the privilege that Michigan has to be able to actually choose our justices. And then, we have the reproductive rights fight that's happening here. And I like to really say bodily autonomy because it's a personal freedoms issue. It just so happens to affect birthing people in this instance. But Black birthing folks have come together and put a constitutional amendment, which means we will not have to rely on either party on whether or not we get a say in what to do with our bodies. And so we're hoping to push that over the winning line in November. And all of this all of this is important because we have, care not criminalization going on. We have clean slate expungement going on, which you've been a huge part of, Marjan. We're in the fight to end cash bail and decarceration in general. So hit us up on our website, follow us on social media is probably the quickest way to tap in.
Yes, that's what's up. And Rebecca, tell us, once again, being a board member, what is going on within the Michigan Liberation Board Member? Stuff that you can reveal. We know you got your little secrets too, but
paperwork.
Well, because sometimes we don't know. Some people who are listening may not even know what a board member does. You know what I'm saying?
I also want to lift up the care not criminalization work so I also am a board member for my local school board, and Michigan Liberation has a platform through the care not criminalization brilliant campaign around not criminalizing mental health care, providing mental health care. So folks who are running for school board or know people running for school board or care about this issue in your schools, Michigan Liberation has a great 4-point platform to push school board candidates to support mental health care for students. And do I want to say changes? Do I want to say updates? Do I want to say honesty in curriculum? I mean, there's a lot to unpack there, but issues around curriculum and around student care and not criminalizing students and not having, armed guards in schools. So that's a major connection for me and source of energy with the organization. And then behind the scenes, we treat the board as another training and development space. So the board members that we recruit are people who are really aligned with the values and the vision, and not afraid of talking about liberation and about abolition and about the long-term vision of the organization, and then are able to serve as board members and have the training to understand how we run a board meeting or how we manage a budget and sort of ask the right questions from a treasury perspective, and are resourced to sort of grow as leaders from being on the board. And also, grapple with questions around how we balance board and executive power to have an organization that is compliant and healthy and continues to be grassroots and bottom up and really respect the roots, so that decision-making power about, for example, who we're endorsing for candidates is something that is generated by the base, but the board is informed of and is able to sort of track and manage any, 30,000-foot view perspective. So.
Wow, y'all some badass chicks. You know what I'm saying?
It
ain't no trying here, because I'm telling you, I have interviewed, I've spoke with a lot of nonprofits, and especially like with the boards, you'll look at the makeup of the board, and it's like, okay, you got this person on here because they're a doctor. You got this person on here because they're a lawyer. Or the name, and it's not about name dropping here at Michigan Liberation. It's about doing the work, respecting the roots for real. You know what I mean? And I have to say kudos. That's why I've been attached to Michigan Liberation for 2.5 years, because I'm telling you, we do what we say we're going to do. You know what I mean, everybody? Hey, yeah, you know what's up. But before we get out of here, we got about 4 minutes. And like I said, time is going to fly by. But is there anything you want people who are listening or watching to know? Whether they're formerly incarcerated, dealing with mental illness. Ray, you mentioned reproductive justice, you know what I mean, kind of issues or situations, and anything you want people to know, I'll kick it off because I'm always throwing some things at y'all, right? I want people to know that, I guess my 2.5 years here is that Michigan Liberation is a place not only for the formerly incarcerated, but those impacted. Like, I had a lady interview me from Washtenaw County, and her son is incarcerated. And I let her know, you know what, after this interview, take my number, go to our website, and join one of our core teams. You know what I'm saying? It's about helping the community, you know, and she was just so almost in tears and blown away because she's like, oh, I'm so excited. I wish I knew about you guys years ago when he maybe first, you know, got in the system. But I've even had people from prison call me. Hey, I heard you guys are getting ready to do a podcast. Can I be on it? I got enough minutes, you know, to call. And they're waiting to tell their story. That's why we did this podcast, y'all, so people can tell their story. So I don't know. Is there something you want to, a nugget you want to leave people today?
Yeah, I mean, obviously go on our website, follow us on social media, easiest way to tap in. But to those who feel like, you know, I wish I had known about you, you know, 6 months ago, 2 years ago. We exist and we are here specifically for that. We wished we existed 5-10 years ago. Do not throw your power away. There are billions of dollars raised and spent to make sure you are disinterested and feel powerless. But know that when we organize, we win. So find us or sit tight because we'll probably come find you.
Right. Yeah, that's what's up. That's what's up. Thank you, Ray. And Rebecca, I know you're going to take us on home. Take us on home, Rebecca.
Okay, that was beautiful. I will just add, you know, come ready to bond. We are relationship-oriented people and just always have more interest in meeting more people and building more connections. And
hey, that's what's up. That's what's up, y'all. That's what's up. Thank you. Thank you. I know I said that was the last thing, but I mean, we got a little bit more time. But here's the thing. Here's the thing, everybody. No, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's only like a minute left or so. But here's the thing, everybody. Make sure you check us out on My Liberation. We are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We on Instagram. We're even on TikTok. We're about to get that started. We have a YouTube channel and everything. And this is our first episode. So kudos to us. Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Ray. Thank you. I want to thank my special guests, my family, you know what I mean? And all of you. And I'm talking to all of you who are listening, who are watching. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you and everything. To all our partners, our funders, our sponsors. You know what I mean? Anybody, am I leaving anybody out in the next 30 seconds?
You know what?
Seconds?
Everybody.
The whole family.
The whole family. Come build power with us. To those who are building power with us, thank you. For those who want to build power, come find us, but come build power with us.
Yes, yes. All right, so till next time, hey, here on the Michigan Liberation Respect the Roots podcast, hey, we'll see you. We'll see you. If we don't see you in the studio, we're going to see you, out in the streets, right, Rebecca, Ray?
Catch you in traffic.
And Ray and
that's
Rebecca.
Happened. I didn't know we had a protest over there. All right. Hey,
I love
Jim.
you.
Yeah.
Bye, y'all. Bye, everybody. Michigan Liberation Education Fund, C3, conducts grassroots organizing, leadership development, and civic engagement activities. Michigan Liberation C4 and Michigan Liberation Action Fund, IE, are sister organizations.